So hi Sebastian, you are back from CodeONE or are you still in San Francisco?
No, I'm back. I'm back in Europe from CodeONE, yeah.
And how was the flight from Europe to CodeONE? You flew in from Europe?
I flew in from Europe, yeah, via Zurich. That was pretty okay. I mean, the flight's Western words. I try not to sleep to accommodate for the target time zone, so I could like work and hack a lot in the airplane. So that was good.
Exactly my strategy. So I never sleep from in the way from Europe to US, and it always pays off. And it is the best time to hack. So I'm actually incredibly productive in the airplane. So you can achieve, work which is amazing, usually for 2 to 3 days. So what you hacked in the airplane, you remember that still?
Actually, yeah, it was partly hacking and partly writing. I right now was working on a long article series on testing, like enterprise testing, and I was hacking a little bit on that, and of course, like writing a lot.
Okay,
But yeah, I agree. I'm also pretty productive in airplanes because I think the fact that you cannot stand up and walk around, that's a feature. So you're literally forced to just sit down and nobody else disrupts you and people are quite quiet usually. And that's great.
And there's almost no internet usually.
Yeah, right. That depends on the flight. I mean, I had internet. It's not super fast, but it's just enough to do some stuff like if you have to, I don't know, just get some website to get information. That usually works pretty well.
And you managed to complete the article? So is it done?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
It's an article series, and I'm actually continuously just publishing new parts of it. It's like 6 or 7 parts or so.
And where the articles appear?
On my blog.
Oh, cool. So you have almost a professional blog, So it's like almost like cool. And so you were at CodeONE, and what was your overall impression comparing this CodeONE with CodeONE from last year? And have you ever attended JavaONE?
Yes. This was now my, I think, 5th time on JavaONE/CodeONE in total. And yes, that was very interesting. So I would say it was similar to last year in a sense that you could tell there's definitely still the JavaONE spirit around. Like you meet a lot of, like well-known people in the Java area. And while there's in general a lot of Java going on, so we have like Duke walking around and the JCP party and things like that. So that is very nice to see that we still have that spirit, I would say. But you could also tell that, at least from my experience or from my impression, the number of attendees, like technically Java interested attendees, seem to went down a little bit. My theory on that is that in general it's now very connected to Oracle Open World, which also consumes like a lot of the conference area, and also makes the price a little bit expensive. I mean, not just the conference ticket, but San Francisco is pretty booked out, and hotels are super expensive and flights. So I guess not everybody can afford that, right? Not all the Java developers. So that might be a reason.
Yeah, that the general Java audience is going down. It might be the feature because the original idea of CodeONE was that other folks like Python, JavaScript, and Go will join because it's not about Java, it's about code. So what I would expect right now from you that you say, there are no more Java people, but millions of Python, JavaScript, and Go developers. So you met someone who doesn't know Java, but does, I don't know, JavaScript, Go, or Rust, or whatever instead. So do you have the impression there were other folks there?
Yeah, so that's interesting. From the talks, definitely. I mean, there were a lot of presentations on, all kinds of technology. It might be DevOps, might be, cloud technologies related to machine learning and things like that then probably has a little bit more Python. But most of the people I met were actually, similar crowd to JavaONE, like Java developers are interested in that area. Even in general at the exhibition hall of CodeONE, where IBM also had a booth and why there were some interesting exhibitions from like demos and things like that. So from my experience, most of the people I talked with were actually, like Java developers, so that typical attendee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I talked with some speakers who said, yeah, for their talks, the number of attendees seemed to went down a little bit compared to before. So that was interesting. But I mean, you're right. If you take the name like CodeONE, yes, that was, I guess, the plan to have a little bit more wider audience of general developers and not just Java.
Yeah, this is the question of how many developers from other languages will join CodeONE to get the to get the recent news, or not news, or just to hear the experience from other JavaScript, Go, Rust, or whoever attendees. So this is what I think. This is still a mistake, just renaming the conference to CodeONE. And it could be, like we talked already about that. It could be, what could work, I think, is to call something CodeONE, but have sub-conferences like JavaONE, JavaScript One, Go, Cloud One, or whatever one. Because, if I'm going to San Francisco, I would like to focus on something at least, and not, because you cannot attend all the sessions at once about, 5 different languages. And this is like, a focus, I think, is really important. And right now is, So I was curious about your impression. And you enjoyed the time at CodeONE? So you learned something new, or what was your overall impression?
Oh yeah, I did enjoy it a lot. I mean, just to follow up that thought. So yes, I would agree. And I also think actually it would make sense to have like a separate JavaONE type conference. I mean, keep the CodeONE for a general developer conference for like Oracle. I think that makes sense. But Java, is important enough to have just like that one official Java conference where you also meet all the people, and then might be aligned with the Java SE release. So then you hear a keynote about the new Java stuff and things like that. And then also it makes the conference a little bit more approachable for developers if you have a dedicated time where San Francisco is not totally overrun and where hotels are a little bit less crazy. So that would be nice, but
yeah, but the hotels were always crazy. At the first JavaONE, was the same situation, I would say, and there were a lot more people, because I think even because of the name JavaONE, and an enterprise developer from USA would we go to JavaONE. By CodeONE is more if they're running Java inside a company, why they should learn about something what they don't use? It's just way harder to justify inside.
Yeah, that's true.
And
so, my impression, but still was I really enjoyed the time. So it was very interesting to see. A few things stand out. So, for example, what I found was pretty cool in the exhibition hall. They had a Raspberry Pi cluster, and it's not just the cluster; it's actually a huge one. So I think they broke the world record for the biggest Pi cluster. With I think they tried to do more than 1,024 Pis. So I think they had about 1,060.
Cool.
I guess, Raspberry Pis, and they're all connected and, can do some computing together and things like that. So that was displayed in a huge rack with, a lot of Pis and, like connections, coolings and that. I found that pretty cool.
I saw that on Twitter. I guess, or I suspect that Stephen Chin has something to do with that.
Yes, I think probably the original.
He had also always nice ideas. Okay, and something ran on the cluster, or it was just, cluster? So there was some use case?
For now, that was just the cluster. I think also they finished it like literally last minute to get something up and running. So I suggested to install, of course, Kubernetes on that.
Yeah.
So then you would have, a pretty huge Kubernetes cluster with more than 1,000 nodes. And I think they also had that plan, but they weren't there yet at the conference. So maybe at the next one we have a huge Kubernetes cluster.
Yeah, I saw the picture of Twitter. It really looked really nice. The whole rack. It looked like like a rack of something inside, and these were Raspberries. Okay, something else you saw in the exhibition hall, which was really interesting.
The exhibition, a few booths and things like that. So what we did actually at the IBM booth, we finished an ebook recently on a modern Jakarta EE and microprofile.
Cool.
So that just has been announced like the week before, and then we could do a book signing, right? So that ebook is actually available for free, so you can just go and download it, and then we have printed copies.
And is my intro actually inside the book?
Exactly.
Is it?
So thanks a lot for that. And yes, you get a
Oh,
forward
perfect.
by Adam
Perfect.
Bean if you
So
get a copy
this
of
was the
ebook.
question. I saw your book. It's like I really wonder whether my intro made in, because it was I had no time and this was last minute. You told me, okay, it could be somehow critical, the timing, but if it made in, perfect.
Yeah, yeah. With books, the timing is always if you have a publisher, and then there's always deadlines and timing critical. But yeah,
No, perfect. I
managed to do
read
that.
actually the entire book and I really like it. So for the listeners, you have to read it. And nice intro. So what were your sessions in San Francisco?
Right. So I had 3 sessions on my own, 3 technical ones. One on bulletproof Java EE, how to run production like applications and what to take into considerations with like fault tolerance concepts such as timeouts and circuit breaker and bulkheads, how to properly define that, and a few tips and tricks how to basically debug if something's going on for a production setting. And then 2 more sessions on the topic of development productivity, which is a topic that I think is very, very important.
Yeah.
And where I see a lot of room for improvement in projects. So basically how to build up more productive development workflows. So one was specifically about Java enterprise development workflows with like cloud native and things like that. So how you can achieve a very, very productive turnaround. So originally the
idea, I guess, is keep the war, put everything in the war. So if your war is huge, you can develop faster, right?
No.
Just kidding. This is So why I'm saying
right.
this?
Basically, you're right. It's basically that topic. So how to keep thin war. So why that you have like a quick turnaround that you can build very quickly. And, same with Docker caches. And also I was showing some, approaches similar to what you did with watch and deploy. So what is actually out there now is a Liberty Maven plugin that I like to use now for enterprise projects because it's, I think, the fastest way to have a turnaround. Because you don't.
What is
you
the deal
don't
with the
even
plugin?
need to do a full Maven build. Right. So the difference is it can detect individual file changes. It knows about like configuration and also Java classes, and then it will only compile and hotspot a single class, which is like super fast.
Yeah.
So you can literally save the file and then within 1 second it's updated, because you don't have to do like the Maven build on, depending on how fast your system is, right? Like Maven build takes maybe 3 seconds or 2 to 3, and then you have to redeploy the application, so another half a second, and that's just a little bit faster, at least on my machine. So that's what I'm using right now. But basically,
and it
topic
performs the full deploy,
Yeah.
or just incremental deploy. So what happens is it will replace the single class on OpenLiberty or redeploy the whole war?
Actually, it redeploys the application, but but it's like fast enough. It's less than a second.
Okay,
to
you've wrote
redeploy.
the
So
plugin?
I think what it does internally, I think it swaps the application within the class loader, as far as I know, and then just throws away the application context.
Okay.
So reloads that.
Cool.
So you lose, all the CDI beans and things like that.
And you've wrote the plugin?
No, that was developed by the Liberty team.
Okay.
But I was working closely with that and,
Okay.
providing issues and things like this. So I'm a big fan of that. That just makes development very, very nice.
So my watch
And
and
in
deploy
general,
is not that smart. It just compiles everything. So it's like it's just like remote control of Maven. So
Right.
still really fast, surprisingly fast, but it's not as smart as your Maven or IBM's Maven plugin. So interesting. So you showed you presented. So you talk about that as well for the productivity, right? So you show how fast it is.
Right. So that, and in general, just the awareness that what I see in projects, the more cloud native technology you add, I mean, we have Maven, then we have Docker, then we have Kubernetes, maybe OpenShift and things like that. It's easy to make the turnaround like really, really long, right? So if you have to change, you do a Maven build, Docker push, kube control, apply, and things like that. And this just takes way too long. So basically showing a few examples how to make that much shorter, at least while developing. So that locally for things like watch and deploy or Liberty plugin, and also how to combine it with like a Kubernetes runtime. So there are some tools available like telepresence where you can connect your laptop into the cluster basically. And if you then have a quick application server running locally, that just makes that turnaround much faster for test environments, right? So for staging or so, you can connect your laptop and then try stuff out, change things, and only once you're sure that works, you can do a push and then, let the continuous delivery pipeline do the full build. That then takes longer. So basically a question how to choose a good balance to be more productive.
And so there were 2 sessions which you delivered?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Right.
And were these sessions well attended?
2 of them, yes, pretty well attended, especially since, I was talking to other speakers and a lot of them said that in general, the numbers of attendees seemed to be quite low.
Mm-hmm.
But so there was a surprisingly well attendance for 2 of them. And one was on, I think, Thursday. It might be because it was the last day. So that was, medium well attended. Mm-hmm. But in general, I was quite happy with the turnout of these sessions.
So you got the big rooms which we got last year. There was like the Java floor, right? Was it the same setup this year?
No, it was all of the rooms were in Moscone South actually. So it was not Moscone West, but I think it's similar room size. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, so it was full or half full or what's?
Yeah, 2 of these sessions were like full room.
Yeah, cool. There's great news because Jakarta-y. So there was some Jakarta-y and cloud. So I mean, if interests are there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And what was about Jakarta-y and microprofile? Were lots of sessions, lots of interest, or not that much? So what was your impression?
Actually, yes. So there was also what I presented was now officially Jakarta, right? Since last week we had, or the week before we had the release. And we also did like a panel, like a BOF session on Jakarta and especially connection with microprofile. So that was also well attended, especially with a lot of familiar faces in the Jakarta area. So that was nice to see, yes. And I would say that there was a lot of interest, at least a lot of sessions, especially also on microprofile.
Mm-hmm. And were the microprofile or Jakarta sessions also well attended or not that?
The ones that I attended, yes.
Yeah, very good.
I didn't see too many sessions myself. I think 2 or 3 or 4. Or
something. Really? Were you lazy or what's wrong? With conference.
Well, a lot of other things to do.
Parties.
I did. CodeONE is always full. Like I did 1 or 2 interviews, then this book signing and things like that. So.
And do you like coffee? I forgot about that.
Yes, a lot.
So, where you drank some coffee in San Francisco? So, where you spend time outside?
Oh yeah, there's a few favorite coffee shops around. So, what I always liked since the first time I was there is the Blue Bottle coffee.
Yeah, of course.
And there are a few others. How you pronounce it? I think Mazarin.
Okay.
Coffee. That is a nice one. And also, I think quite new coffee shops. Blue Lane Coffee.
Okay.
I think that was the first time I saw them, and there are multiple around, and also one was very close to my hotel, so this is where I usually had a breakfast there. But in general, like West Coast is pretty full with really, really good coffee shops, so that's what I enjoy.
Not that many. In San Francisco, there are 2 perfect blue coffees. So one is in the, how it's called, ferry terminal or ferry center.
Yep.
And the other one is in the near actually of the conference. So if I had a chance, I picked a coffee and came back. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, but there, especially Blue Bottle ones, there are a lot of them around.
Okay.
Like one, yes, very close to Moscone.
Yeah.
And even at Market Street, there at least like 2 or 3 other ones.
Oh, they're new.
So it's like within, I think there came a few new ones like in the recent years. But at least, within 5 minutes of walk, you probably find a Blue Bottle cafe.
Cool. So what's about the keynotes at CodeONE? So usually I really look forward to the keynote. So usually there's like technical keynote with Mark Reinholdt, sometimes something like this. And there's one how to call it, community keynote, right? So
Yes.
you attended the keynote?
So, yes, I attended both. The first one, it was actually one was surprising, and a few people said that Mark Reinhold was not there. So I don't know whether he was on vacation or what was the reason for that. Maybe somebody from Oracle can comment.
Probably
so Brian Götz was there.
Mark is already your colleague at IBM. Can happen, you know.
Who knows? There's a lot of change now happening, so you never know.
And you attended the
Brian
keynote?
Götz was there and showing and showing a few things that are upcoming in Java SE.
Yeah.
And in general, there were actually a lot of people invited, like from the community and from the broader tech scene. They just showed what the future of Java is, or in general to raise the awareness what we all know, that just Java is there to stay and that there's still a lot of innovation happening and a lot of going forward. So what I really enjoyed at the keynote on Monday, there was a session. I'm bad with names. I forgot her name. There was a young lady showing quantum computing.
Okay. Was it Johann Voss?
Yes, she actually touched that as well with Java. Okay. So that was a very nice explanation, like how quantum computers work and how you can program on them with like qubits. And she used donuts to explain the spinning bits and the superposition state and things like that. So that was enjoyable to watch and still also very informative. So I really enjoyed that part of the keynote. And then in general, some appearance, of other folks of just, where Java is going.
Okay.
But of course, since now we have the frequent release, and I think that's a good thing that we don't really have, new breaking news, right? So we know what's upcoming, and also the features are not that huge, right? Since it's a more incremental approach. So we had some demos on, what the next features of the future of Java is and things like that. But
so which features were presented? You can remember that? So which features are upcoming? So which features were presented in Java SE?
What presented was, I think, was it Project Valhalla? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm personally really looking forward is the multi-line feature of multi-line strings.
Yeah.
So that's one what I can really use. So I think in 13 it's now beta or like preview release version. So as a preview feature.
But this was also already presented last year, I think. So the Valhalla is always there.
Right.
The multi-line feature was also presented. And who presented the features? You remember that? So Mike Reinholz didn't present?
Brian Götz.
Brian Götz, okay. Sure. Cool. No, James Gosling attended? No.
No.
Yeah, of course not.
At least I haven't seen him. Right. And yeah, then we had a second keynote on Wednesday. Was it the community keynote, which was really, really fun. So they had this year a gaming theme. So basically went through computer games and how they evolved from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and how also technology changed. And, a lot of very, very funny demos and a lot of, funny appearances by other Java champions. And that was a really pleasure to watch.
And you participated?
Also for me, no, that was the first time in 3 years where I didn't participate. And so for me, that was more relaxed because I always like to watch these community keynotes. But the problem is if you participate, even if you're not on stage the whole time, but also backstage, you don't really see it. I mean, you can watch the recording, but it's much more fun if you just sit in the audience and enjoy.
So you participated, I think, last year or 2 years ago with the Matrix theme, right? So.
Right, yeah. 2 years ago, there was the Matrix, and that was Neo.
Neo, exactly, the Neo.
That was fun.
Okay, so there were two keynotes. So one was like as always, the keynote with, the Java SE features and community, and the other was, not community, the community participants in Java SE,
keynote,
and the other one was the pure community keynote. Questions regarding the keynote participants. So were there more people or less people, more people or less people than last year? Can you say that? Because it's always good to stand up in the keynote room and see what happens around. So what was your impression?
Right. So I did that. I'm not quite sure how it compares to last year. I would say it was similar.
Okay.
Actually. So, of course, at the technical one, like the first keynote, there are always more people, like compared to the community one, because the community one is, like mostly just for fun and people enjoy it. But then there are just the people who actually also enjoy it. So maybe a few hundred. I'm not quite sure. But I would say it was similar to years before.
Okay. So this year I didn't attend the CodeONE, and the main reason is I forgot. Also, I wrote the abstracts, but I forgot to submit them, which is of course
that happens to me also sometimes.
a major failure. But I was actually happy that I didn't attend it because the Jakarta One live stream conference appeared. It was so I spent I think 14 hours nonstop just introducing speakers, and my origin idea was just to introduce someone and then hack something. But the talks were really interesting. So I actually listened 13 hours to everyone. And so I also learned a lot, I have to say. And it was very productive for me. But it was planned completely other way around. And what surprised me, the amount of attendees at the Jakarta One stream. Because as I remember, there were more and more, and in the end, we had like 1,300 something live attendees, which is for a live stream a lot, I would say. So for a live stream, it's just like incredible to that people watching live something happening. So this is incredible because at the Airhacks TV, what I'm doing, at most there are probably 200 or 150 live attendees, but this is like crazy. I mean, 1,300 is a major thing. So I was surprised how well it worked, actually. So we were on time the entire 13 hours. The Tanya said, okay, next one. So the pacing was great. The speakers were we had lots of fun. So I was a little bit skeptical with the online thing, but it worked really well. So I missed you. I hoped you also will speak about something. So we were a little bit of fun, but yeah.
Yeah, I was actually attending as well. So I listened to, most of it. And actually, I was asked to be a backup speaker. So I was talking to, I think, Riza, and he asked me to, provide as a backup. And I know there are a lot of, there's just way too many speakers who would like to speak in a few slots, right? So, of course, not everybody can attend. But that was good. And I fully agree with you. It was fun to watch. And especially what I enjoyed was the official release of Jakarta. And that felt, like you could feel it's quite important and a thing, and also since a lot of people watched, so that was you almost felt like you're in a real conference, like connected to many people, just watching that at the same time, and I really enjoyed it.
And what I was really surprised that Kevin introduced the Jakarta E dependencies on all the PDFs. It's like this is happening right now. It's really cool. So during the conference, I already set up my GitHub repo for the archetype with Jakarta E, and it was really, I have to say, a really nice community. And funny thing is, we had a dry run. So dry run is just try to connect whether it works. And my studio machine didn't work at all. So I just couldn't connect. Nothing worked. It was like 100% CPU. And this is like fast machine, what I'm using right now. And the very first time I was in my server room, actually, with my old developer machine. And this place worked perfectly. So I spent, 13 hours in a basement the very first time without anything. So no mic, nothing. I just use my built-in mic because, my general setup doesn't work. So the AX TV streaming didn't work and my basement worked. So it was funny.
Well, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I was struggling with my video setup as well because, the more you have with the setup, the more brittle it become, or, more moving parts that can fail.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally feel you.
Yeah. And it's a pity that I didn't attend it because I was one of the chairs or something of the conference. So I participated a few calls, and the idea was actually to have a 24 hours conference. At least my idea. It's like, this is a stream, so keep all the speakers coming. So it doesn't matter whether we complete with 13 or 15 hours or just do 24 hours. Who cares? I mean, this could be longer. No one cares. So we have the content, just do it. But somehow they just wanted to do 15 hours. Which is okay.
Right. Well, otherwise it would be super hard for you if you, are the MC for 24 hours even, then it's
I had no time, but what I wanted to do to ask you whether you could help me out, but I had no time to write an email. It was like crazy time back then. And I said, okay, I will do it. But if you do it 24 hours, I will ask you for sure, for help.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, cool. Any final words regarding CodeONE? Will you attend next year? What's the plans?
That's actually, yeah, it's a good question. For CodeONE, like how that evolves, like what we talked about with the numbers of attendees. So actually, I would love if Oracle would have like an update statement of of the involvement in Java and conference-wise especially. But let's see. That's still up to. I haven't fully decided for next year, but I definitely enjoyed the time. So in hindsight, it was a good conference to attend.
Yeah. So thank you for the update, and the listeners should check out your blog series about testing for sure. Then can they buy the book?
And the O'Reilly book.
Can it be bought or just downloaded? So is it a free book?
Yes, it's a free, I think they're called O'Reilly Report.
Okay.
So that's available, and yeah, just download it.
So then if you have some money, just donate somewhere and download the book instead. And what's the title of the book? I forgot about that. So
now I have to actually look it up.
yeah, you are one of the authors. For me, it's okay because I just wrote, the intro, but you have to know the title. So
that is true. Yeah, I should know. So the title, because it's a long title, is Developing Open Cloud Native Microservices, Your Java Code in Action.
Cool. So download the book, and Sebastian, thank you, and hear you next time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.